On this episode of In the Fight, NATO partner nations take part in the largest training exercise in decades. Army medics compete against each other in order to better themselves. Marines and sailors come together to create a more effective and efficient amphibious force. Airmen look after homeless veterans during Operation Stand Down. And a wall of messages and memories from the past gets preserved for the future. Over 36,000 military personnel from more than 30 partner nations recently took part in Trident Juncture 2015, NATO's largest training exercise in decades. This training culminated in a large-scale live exercise taking place around a mock city in Spain. Army Sergeant Josiah Dixon tells us more in this report.
After over a month of training, NATO's largest exercise in decades, Trident Juncture, held a large-scale live exercise at San Gregorio Training Area, Spain. Distinguished visitors, including Army Europe Commanding General Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, looked on as multinational ground forces worked together to defeat an enemy holding a city. Air assets also played a key role, providing close air support for the advancing forces. Over 500 paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne and Spanish Army dropped into the training area after an 8-hour flight from the U.S., demonstrating their ability to rapidly augment NATO forces if needed. General Hodges, along with the Spanish Minister of Defense, congratulated and pinned their respective countries' jump wings on the paratroopers. For Army Europe Public Affairs in San Gregorio Training Area, Spain, I'm Sergeant Josiah Dixon.
Unlike active duty soldiers, reservists only serve part-time, allowing them to go to school or work a civilian job, while also taking on military training and missions throughout the year. Air Force Staff Sergeant Tristan McIntyre tells us how these citizen soldiers are an important asset in Europe.
U.S. Army Reserve soldiers have a variety of jobs, which are typically in the United States. However, a fortunate few get to come live in Europe.
These guys are getting to do some really cool stuff.
James Balaki is a senior civilian executive in the Army Reserve, and he has come to Europe to visit some of his soldiers.
And these guys really are sort of twice the citizen. They're serving as civilians during the week. They're a part of our units. But on battle assembly weekends, then they put the uniform on.
Although a reservist serves differently from their active duty counterpart, Mr. Balaki says much of their mission is the same, and they're an important asset in Europe.
They bring all these unique civilian-acquired skills. So it's almost like being bilingual or trilingual, right? They speak sort of Army, but they also speak civilian skill sets and see it from a different set of perspectives. They don't just see it through the lens of a military practitioner. They see it through the eyes of a civilian practitioner.
He also says it's a privilege to serve with them.
And then the chance to serve in Europe, I don't think there's anything better. Our Army Reserve is proud to be serving in Europe alongside the military men and women of all services. Don't discount these men and women as being just reservists. They're a lot more than that.
Staff Sergeant Tristan McIntyre, Dana Kasern, Germany.
Teams of soldiers recently took part in the 2015 Best Medic competition in Texas. Even though they were competing against each other, as Soldiers Magazine correspondent Peter Ising reports, the real goal for most medics is trying to better themselves.
Our success in combat is often equated to our decreased diet of wounds rates. In World War II, we had a higher diet of wounds rates than we did in Vietnam. We decreased it in Vietnam, we decreased it in Desert Storm, and we decreased it again in the current operations.
Yeah, get some. Yeah. Love that shit.
You've got medics so embedded in such different situations that Medics have taken on a whole new role that they didn't have in wars past.
We kind of open up our training course with a quote from General McChrystal, and it's, everybody should be required to shoot, move, communicate, and medicate.
Good pace, good pace.
Medics quite often have to switch gears from, scanning for targets, IDing threats, and, being an infantryman or a cav guy or, wherever they're hanging out, and go straight to medicine and switch gears back and forth. Can I work on this guy and still pick up my rifle and engage a target? Do I get lost in that patient? Or do I get lost in the gunfight and, not get to my buddy soon enough?
You have to be able to keep the morale up of everyone else in your platoon, because you're not just in charge of their physical health, you're in charge of their mental health as well. And that can be a little draining sometimes, because when everyone's moaning and groaning, you got to be the guy to kind of keep their spirits up.
It's the trust that the combat soldier provides to him that really determines the difference of whether or not that medic can do his job.
It's real easy. You get a guy in front of you that's hurt, and you don't want to be left short. Could I have trained more? Could I have, packed better kit, packed better aid bag? Could I have been in better shape? Could I have been a better shooter and kept that guy from getting shot? It's never quite the easy answer. It's just, it all sort of comes together when you got a buddy in front of you. And that's why we do everything we do. It's just we want to be better.
Hi, I'm Specialist Justine Hudson, stationed at Camp Arif John Kuwait. I want to say happy holidays to all my friends and family in Houston, Texas. Hi, Mom, Dad, Natalie, and Chanel, I love you. Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Pablo Swilch, stationed at Camp Arif John Kuwait. I just want to say happy holidays to all my friends and family in Eva Beach, Hawaii.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Henry Gundecker, stationed here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'd like to give a shout out to my family and friends in Conroe and Houston, Texas. I love you guys. Happy holidays.
Hello. I'm Sergeant First Class Vashana Lovelace at Camp Arif John Kuwait, and I want to wish a very Merry Christmas to my mother and brother, Brenda and Courtney Lovelace, in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Merry Christmas, I love you, I miss you, and I'll be home soon. Eat some red velvet cake from me.
Coming up, Marines and sailors team up for amphibious assaults. And we get a glimpse into the life of an EOD technician. Check out dvidshub.net for the latest accurate and reliable information as In the Fight continues. In which year was the Expert Infantryman Badge created? The answer when we return.
There are symbols that represent loss. There are symbols that represent strength. And there are symbols that represent both. Remember, respect, and honor our fallen military heroes and the sacrifice and strength of surviving families who wear the Gold Star pins.
From combat-related stress to the day-to-day stressors of life.
This package is going to be completed.
This is the fourth time this week.
Stress can affect every Marine and Marine family. The De-Stress Line provides anonymous counseling for Marines and Marine families when it's needed most. If you're feeling the effects of stress, call today and let us help you win your personal battles.
In which year was the Expert Infantryman Badge created? The answer is C, 1943.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel James Bush, stationed at Camp Arif John Kuwait. I want to say happy holidays to all my friends and family in the good life city of Albany, Georgia. Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Captain Pete Mervis, stationed at Airf John Kuwait with U.S. Army Central. I would like to say hi and happy holidays to my wife, Christy, in DuPont, Washington. I love you and miss you a lot.
Hi, my name is Tech Sergeant Claudia Poole. I want to give a shout out to the Power Pools, Patty and Charles Poole. Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad from Honduras.
In order to earn the Expert Infantryman badge, soldiers are graded on their land navigation knowledge, weapons qualifications, and task-level skills during a variety of events. Army Staff Sergeant Vanessa Atchley met up with soldiers at Fort Lewis McChord to find out what drives them to take on this challenge.
EIB is basically certifying an infantryman at being an expert at their craft. So to me, earning the EIB, it would mean that you're an expert at what you do. And I think that's a very big deal, and that should be a big deal for every MOS across the board. That sets you apart from your peers that you're going up with. So whether it comes to career progression, promotion, or just making sure that when you do get deployed, you have the ability to do your job well. Out here, we're going through 4 different lanes. We've got entering and clearing a bunker. We are working on the weapon systems like the SAW, the 240 Bravo, 50 cal. We're also doing a land navigation. We have 2 hours to find certain points out there.
It's a grind. You just got to grind it out. I mean, you got to have a reason for it. Whether it's family, for yourself. I mean, definitely having motivation behind it, having a reason to get it, definitely will help you. It feels really good. Just now I've got to take what I've learned, I've got to pass down, make sure we can make more experts out of infantrymen. Congratulations, appreciate it.
Marines and sailors came together aboard the USS Germantown for exercise Blue Chromite 16 in Okinawa recently. Marine Corporal Thor Larson takes us to the event and shows us how blue and green working together makes for a more effective and efficient amphibious force.
U.S. Marines boarded the USS Germantown during exercise Blue Chromite 16.
The name Blue Chromite is, as it implies, is part of the blue-green team. It's operating at sea, underway on an amphibious platform, putting Marines ashore.
Blue Chromite's an annual exercise we do with the 4th Regiment here off the coast of Okinawa, specifically targeting the shift to the Pacific and trying to expand the blue-green relationship.
Amphibious operations and blue-green integration is what really sets us apart from other services. That Marine Corps Navy team is critical for our country's strategic success.
This is the very foundation of what we were founded on, which is Marines operating at sea off of ships. Amphibious ships, our mission is to move Marine Corps personnel and craft. So having the Marines on board, it allows us to do that mission, to execute our mission. So without the Marines, kind of like a taxi cab without people on board.
With Blue Chromite and Okinawa as the meeting ground for 3 Marine Expeditionary Force and the Navy's 7th Fleet, the 2 services share resources that make them better equipped to fulfill their amphibious mission.
The Air Force is always looking for ways to not only improve training, but to save money. Army Sergeant Corey Leatherman takes us to Ramstein Air Base, where a new flight simulator is doing just that.
It takes at least 100 hours for each C-130 pilot on Ramstein to get certified. This costs the Air Force millions of dollars a year. Thanks to the new C-130J simulator, pilots are able to get part of the training they need at a lower cost to the Air Force.
Every year we have to do a CRM, Crew Resource Management simulator. With this sim here, we can do it here now instead of paying for TDY costs to go back to the States.
The new simulator features top-of-the-line technology that allows them to prepare for any situation.
Check altitude.
You can do a lot of training in this that you can't do in the aircraft. They can set up certain scenarios from the database here. They can make the weather as good or as bad as they want it, throw different emergencies at us. Engine failures, electrical failures, smoke and fumes, pretty much anything and everything that can happen we can do in the sim.
For C-130 pilot Captain Backus, the simulator opens up new opportunities.
It's going to be great training. It's about as close as you can get without flying in the aircraft. It's pretty amazing, the technology.
I'm Army Sergeant Corey Leatherman, Ramstein Air Base, Germany.
And then you can bring it back to ground idle.
Explosive ordnance disposal is both a harrowing and highly technical profession. Airman First Class Furin Sai takes us to Ellsworth Air Force Base to give us a glimpse of what life is like for an EOD technician.
I'm Airman First Class Andrew Perez from Ellsworth Air Force Base, and I'm an EOD tech. Training was extremely fast-paced. It was very, very stressful and long. One day you'll start learning about grenades, and the next day you're testing on it, and you're having to deal with a problem you've never seen before. When I first started, especially in the schoolhouse, like my hands were a little shaky. So you want hands like a surgeon, like in this job. So, but as I played with it a little bit more, I got a little bit more comfortable, and so my hands don't shake as much anymore. We maintain different specialties, but mostly our job is to clear the hazards, clear explosive hazards, and make it safe, make the area safe for everyone. When I joined, I imagined clearing out little playgrounds for kids so that they can play without bombs going off around them. It's very important for us to have each other's backs in our career field, because even as a team leader, you're mainly the one making the decisions and everything, but as a team member, it's up to you to make sure he does everything safely. We spend a lot of time together outside of our shop. We hang out, we're really close, we get to know each other's lives. That way, whenever we go out and work together, we know how each other acts and how what each other is thinking. So this is basically our inventory that we have that's used for deployment packages. So if we have a team that's deployed and they need a large amount of material, we would give them their respective packages depending on what exactly they needed. So this is our conventional ordnance shed. As you see, there's a whole lot of them because we got to stay up to date with all the different kinds of threats that could come to us. So we have anywhere from Russian to Chinese, any number of country. We usually have something that's from there, so that way we are at least up to date to anything that we could see out in the field. All right, so this is our base support response vehicle. It's basically what we would use anytime there's a response on base. Over here we have like our recon kit and stuff like that. It's basically outfitted with anything that we could possibly respond to. I love it here. This is a great place to be. And of course, being an EOD tech is a good part.
Hi, I'm Major Brandon Gray, stationed in Camp Arif John, Kuwait. I want to say happy holidays to all my friends and family in Tampa, Florida.
Hi, I'm Specialist Meyer Hunt II, stationed in Wiesbaden, Germany. I want to say happy holidays to my kids in Anderson, Indiana. Markel, you're the man of the house right now. Listen to your mom. Be good. Lyric, happy birthday. I'm sorry I couldn't make it this year.
Hi, I'm Specialist Bridget Roberson, and I'm stationed in Camp Arif John, Kuwait. I want to say happy holidays to all my family and friends in Savannah, Georgia. I miss you, and I'll see you soon.
Coming up, airmen care for homeless veterans during Operation Stand Down. And we'll showcase some of the best photos from our service members as In the Fight, presented by Divids, continues. Roughly what percentage of the adult homeless population are veterans? The answer when we return.
I want to give a shout out to my family and friends.
I want to send a shout out to my husband,
to my parents, my family back home.
I'd like to give a shout out to my girlfriend.
To my family and friends in Lansing, Michigan.
To my family out in Tucson, Arizona.
To my beautiful wife and children in Des Moines, Iowa.
To everybody in Texas.
In York, Pennsylvania.
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Chicago, Illinois.
Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Orlando, Florida. Oceanside, California.
And Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
I love you guys. I miss you. And I hope I'll see you soon.
America's Navy, a global force for good.
Hey, what's that pin you're wearing?
Oh, this. I wear it to remember my dad. He was in the Army.
I wear this pin for my husband, who was killed in action.
My son served his country proudly. Not a day goes by that I don't think about him.
She was my wife and best friend.
Remember, respect, and honor our fallen military heroes and the sacrifice and strength of surviving families who wear the Gold Star pins.
Roughly what percentage of the adult homeless population are veterans? The answer is B, 12%.
Hello, I'm Private First Class Jordan Wild, stationed in Wiesbaden, Germany. I want to say happy holidays to all my friends and family in Buckley, Washington. Hi Madison, hi Deborah, hi Nelson. I love you all very much and have a Merry Christmas.
Hi, my name is Sergeant First Class Johnson. I'm stationed here in Soto Cono Air Base in Honduras. I would like to wish my family and friends a happy holidays. I love you and can't wait to get home.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Raul Marquez, stationed at Camp Air John, Kuwait. I want to say happy holidays to my wife, Jeanette, and my kids, Carlos and Eduardo, in Sumter, South Carolina. Happy holidays.
Airmen of the 108th Medical Group recently took part in an event aimed at helping homeless veterans as part of Operation Stand Down. As Air Force Master Sergeant Carl Clegg reports, these Stand Down Days are a community-based intervention program to help veterans battle life on the streets.
So Operation Stand Down is an event for homeless veterans, and it is a national event that the state of New Jersey has been running for many years. The one in New York, I have been attending for the past 3 years. This year it's been a huge turnout. The 108th Medical Group with the nurses and the medics, we come here every year to Newark as volunteers through the state, and we service them doing blood pressure checks. We actually speak with them a lot about their health history.
So, do you see a doctor regularly? Okay.
And what they should be doing in their everyday lives to make themselves healthier. So many of them do have medical issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, some cholesterol issues, and other medical conditions where they're on oxygen. So we are more of a counselor type than an actual provider of services, medical services.
How often do you get blood pressure checked?
I try to get it checked every 2 months.
Good, good. It's important to stay on top of that. Blood pressure control is very important, and a lot of these veterans don't have that service available. If a blood pressure issue continues for a long time, it can lead to other diseases like having a stroke, having an acute MI, which is a heart attack. And so it's important to know what your blood pressure is.
I'm hoping to get information here today. You know, I know it's a process that everybody has to go through, and that's why I want to start that process. I'm homeless right now. I found out about this Stand Down event for veterans, and I'm here to see what kind of help they can offer. I got my blood pressure taken. It is 130/90, which is 10 points higher than normal, but he said due to the conditions that I'm in right now, walking around and everything, my blood pressure would be up.
Good job on a good blood pressure. All right, stay healthy, okay?
The thing that stood out to me most was the coordination and the heart of all the volunteers here. The organizations that came out to provide services for the veterans, and to see them appreciate what our community services are doing for them. And also the camaraderie that we have with the Army really stuck out to me, that we all helped each other.
When military members served in Iraq at Joint Base Balad, they were encouraged to write messages on the walls to share their memories. Those same walls have now been preserved at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Airman First Class Taylor Harrison talks to the two people who started the tradition as they see the walls for the first time since 2006.
Joint Base Balad, Iraq, 2011.
In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom. In its hour of maximum danger, I do not shrink from its raw responsibility. I welcome it.
Soldiers worked to preserve memories of hundreds of service members, which were written on the walls of Balad's Contingency Aeromedical Staging Facility, or CASA. 4 years later at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, the founders of the original wall are back to see the legacy they created.
It didn't strike us about the permanence of them until we were reading things in, 2012 maybe, that they had been cut out and saved.
Wounded or ill service members that passed through Joint Base Balad wrote messages, signed their names, and many paid homage to fallen comrades.
You know, it was for them at the time. They're the ones that just really created its life, you know, and brought it to life.
Retired Senior Master Sergeant Karen Lualbo initially created the Balad Warrior Wall in 2006.
And we looked at these as their walls, and it's the voice.
And it's such a live voice. You know, you don't see a living monument like this very often.
The Balad Cassock walls were finally dismantled in July of 2011 and are now stored at the 309th AMARG, more commonly known as the Boneyard, in order to be preserved for years to come. Airman First Class Taylor Harrison, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona.
DVIDS is a 24/7 operation that provides a timely, accurate, and reliable connection between the media and the military serving worldwide. Through a network of over 200 portable satellite transmitters around the globe and a distribution hub in Atlanta, Georgia, DVIDS gives you access to the front lines with live and archived broadcast video, still imagery, and print products. Visit our website at dvidshub.net and search through our enormous video and photo library. Register on our website to gain complete access to high-definition content, along with breaking news alerts and webcasts from top military officials. For questions or comments about In the Fight or DVIDS, you can email us at ondemand@dvidshub.net or follow us on Twitter and Facebook. As we close, we feature some of the best photos that DVIDS has to offer as we listen to Eddie Horst's composition, Pangea. See you next time, In the Fight.